Hi, I'm Marjorie from Marjorie's Candies, and I'm going to make pita bread. Pita bread. Okay, 1 package of yeast, it's about a tablespoon, and a half a cup of warm water, and 3 cups of flour, 1 1/4 teaspoons of salt, 1 teaspoon of sugar, and a cup of warm water. These are little breads that you're going to roll them out, and they're going to puff up, and then you know, like a pocket. It's pocket bread, pita bread. Okay, so the first step that you need to do is, usually yeast comes in little packets. You can also buy a small jar of yeast, but it's about a tablespoon. Okay, so you want to start off with either a packet or about a tablespoon of yeast, and this is warm water. Okay, and you're just going to sprinkle it over the top. And let that soak in there. I give it a shake. I don't stir it really. And let that sit for about 5 minutes, and not really much longer. And we'll see if we can catch it when it starts to come up to the surface, and you'll know it's perfect. Okay? Do you see that little area, that little island? That's how you can tell when it starts to pop up to the surface like that. If you give it a little, you just let it sit though. It just started. Oh, something might come up. Here it comes. Very good. That's it. Okay, so now the yeast is risen, so I'm going to add it to my bowl. I probably could have done it in this bowl. It would have been fine. Okay, I'm going to add the sugar and the salt. Give it a little stir. And this is about 4 cups of flour. You're not going to add it all at once. You're going to stir it in. We're going to add this water here. We're going to get everything in. That's a cup of water. We're going to slowly add this in. There's a little bit left in there. Okay. We didn't really need all of the 4 cups, so I'm going to put some down here just to... Okay, we'll get all that in there. Okay, I'm going to let this rest. Just want to bring it together just a little bit. Okay, and I'm just going to let this sit for about 10 minutes. And then we'll knead it together. I'm going to cover it with a piece of saran wrap. And I can just take the bowl. Just take this bowl and I'll just set it over it so it doesn't dry. And then we'll knead it in about 10 minutes. Okay, so now we've been letting this dough rest, okay, for about 10 minutes. And I use a dock scraper. Actually, I use a dock scraper just to even start my kneading process. Then it doesn't stick very much. Okay. I use it as one of my hands. This might be a little strange, but it works. And then you can get started. I didn't need to add any more flour to this, actually. And you do this for about 10 minutes. So I'm going to continue to do this, and Mike can come back to me, but I'll continue. Bye! Okay, so I've just been kneading away, and what I do is when the dough will stick, I scrape it off, and I be real careful not to knead it back in. I actually did wash my hands after I started and it got a little bit sticky. I washed my hands just so, because that helps. The more you can keep things clean, the less flour you'll have to add. Okay? So this is ready. Okay, so what I want to do is I took my original bowl that I mixed it in, and I'm just going to put it in, roll it around, flip it over, and I'm going to cover it with a piece of saran wrap and let it sit until it's double, but maybe about an hour. Okay, and I'll be back. So I've rolled them out to about 1/4 inch thick, and I'm going to put them on parchment paper on baking sheets. Okay, so they're ready to go into the oven. These are the pita breads all finished, and they look pretty puffy and they should be pretty good, so let's try opening one up. You can see how they look when they're cut open. So you can fill them with all sorts of fun things. Okay.